A 3 and a 2 and a 1 might say, let's start the show today.
Doctor said you got PCOS. Now go on, girl, just lose some weight. Till I took the symptoms into my own hands and reversed them naturally. So I became a dietitian to help my sisters feel the best they've ever felt. Take a step in my direction if you wanna prove them wrong and take control of yourself. Join a sister and a mister.
What's up, sisters? How's it going?
How's it going, sisters? Today is the day that we talk about our PCOS types.
Yeah, we're going to cover all the four main PCOS types that we usually talk about, go into, the causes, the symptoms, how to get down to, reversing those symptoms and getting down to each PCOS type. Before we do that, let's maybe talk about Talline's own PCOS type.
Sure.
So, babe, you did a recent lab kit test and you kind of figured out or found out some of the things that were maybe going on under the hood, as you like to say.
Under the hood.
Do you want to take us through that process?
Yeah, so I'm not going to lie. When I took the lab test, I was like, okay, I feel like I've spent enough years with, controlling my PCOS symptoms and really putting my health first, the slow weighted workouts, everything, gluten and dairy free. What could be wrong? So I went into it a little cocky. I was like, I think I'm okay. But I did get the lab test done, and obviously it was a vast improvement from my lab test from years ago. My insulin resistance was great. My adrenal fatigue wasn't there anymore. It was great. Also, what else inflammation. It didn't look directly at inflammation, actually, because you have to check C-reactive protein. But basically, my hormones looked fine except for my thyroid.
Dun, dun, dun.
I know. And it's one of those things that you don't know unless you have lab work done, or unless you have like really dominant symptoms. But I don't have very dominant symptoms. Like I just have a little bit of acne before my period. And that's basically it. I feel
little cramps here or there.
Yeah, a bit of cramps before
Cramps, yeah.
like the first day of my period. My period is also a little bit later. It's like a 32, 33 day cycle when that's still within range. Like 28 to 32 is within range, but sometimes it's like 33. And then, I don't know. So I was like, something like it's not perfect. Like, I don't know. Let's see what this test says. And of course it says thyroid.
I mean, even if things do feel perfect, it's still a good idea to check it once or
Just
every
goes to
once a
show.
year, once every 2 years, see what's going on with with your body. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was within range, but I was within the lower end of the functional range, which is more specific than conventional ranges. So they detect things sooner before it gets out of control. And that's why I never knew that I even had the slightest bit of like hypothyroid. I had no idea because I didn't have it out of control and my symptoms aren't that out of control for me to notice. Yeah. But with that being said, I am taking a supplement to like a daily thyroid support supplement from Equilife, and it is actually really helpful so far. Like you have to take 4 a day, and I've taken it for a week, and I can tell that it's doing something because I feel the detox symptoms.
Yeah.
I am a little bit like loopy by 5 o'clock.
You're struggling a little bit.
I'm like, my eyes hurt. Like I want to sleep.
I have to say though, Taline hates taking supplements. I mean, she'll take it, but every time she takes it, it's almost like it's
pulling teeth.
Pulling teeth, yes, that's a perfect example. It's like pulling teeth from a little girl, it is funny, but it can be frustrating from my end when I'm like, just take it.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I also want to add that the practitioner that I spoke with after I took the lab test, because when you take the lab test, when you get your results, you speak with a practitioner who like walks you through your results and what you can do. Yeah. And the lab test is linked in the description if you want to take it as well. But she told me that maybe I'm not getting proper micronutrients to support my thyroid. And she told me that the hypothyroid issue is slightly affecting my progesterone levels, which were also on the lower end, which means that this could be the thing that's causing my period to be a little bit later,
Sure, yeah.
like a couple days later. And I was like, wow, that's so interesting. And I can totally say that she's probably right. I can totally say
see.
that she's probably right. That's because
Well, we're gonna find out pretty soon in a couple of months when
Yeah.
you've gone through the 3 months of taking the thyroid supplement.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you're gonna start to see the impact it has on your periods and stuff.
I haven't been taking in the past my multivitamin consistently, and I haven't been eating like 5 servings of vegetables a day. Like certainly not. I've been having like 1 serving at dinner, and that's
And you've been trying to do that more recently with the.
So now I've been trying to eat vegan lunches so that I incorporate more greens into my diet and just having more of that. Like I'm having so much greens at lunch, I feel like. So I'm trying to get those micronutrients that I feel like I've been lacking it lately. I've been so focused on gluten and dairy free and like working and just I haven't prioritized making abundant like salads and like stuff like that for lunch. And I don't know, there's always room for improvement, especially when you're sensitive with PCOS.
Yeah, and when you're so busy, like everyone is, it's hard to kind of focus on every single thing. You're trying to you're doing gluten dairy free, but at the same time you're trying to incorporate more vegetables, more greens. There's only so much you can do in a single given day. So just like everybody else, like you're taking on those steps in a step-by-step way, in a granular way.
I'm so sorry. I keep blabbering about myself, but I just want to say
great.
one more thing. I learned that, I mean, I knew this, but I realized this, that when you eat like kale and broccoli and Brussels sprouts, these kind of weaken and suppress your thyroid because...
Is that what's known as cruciferous vegetables?
So that's like the only vegetables I eat if I eat vegetables.
Yeah,
and
same
I was like,
here.
oh my gosh,
I'm like,
what
give me
am
the
I
most,
doing?
give me the strongest, give me the broccoli, give me the ones that have the most like fiber, I think, right?
Yeah, but...
They have a lot of fiber in them.
So now I realize. So we're adding more variety. We're adding the rainbow into my diet, being more mindful about it, taking the daily supplements. I mean, the daily thyroid support supplement and the daily multivitamin. And let's see what happens. In 3 months, I'm going to take another blood work test and see what happens. And I'll update everyone.
Follow us along, sisters, to see how Taline's symptoms are improving with the lab kit results and taking the supplements. It'll be fun. Like it'll be like a little experiment that we're going to cover episode to episode. So
I'm a lab mouse.
Follow us on. We'll talk about it again next week. See Taline's updates. Hear Taline's updates. Okay, so with that being said, we're going to go into our episode topic this week, which is what is your PCOS type? We're going to go over the 4 main PCOS types, go over the symptoms, how to help reverse them, supplements you can take, diet and lifestyle changes you can take. So let's get into it. Oh, and by the way, we do have a quiz that you can take in the description. We'll put it early on in the description. The quiz is like a very quick 1-minute interactive quiz that you can take, answer some questions, and then at the end of it, it will give you what your PCOS type could be. And then you can basically, it will also tell you the next steps you can take to start today on your PCOS journey and your PCOS type. Of course, it's not a diagnosis. It's always best to go to your doctor to confirm and make sure.
Awesome. Well, the first PCOS type is inflammation.
We should address that you can have, before we start, you can have multiple types. Yeah.
Everyone always DMs us. Everyone DMs us saying like, well, can I have multiple types? Because we always say like, what's your PCOS type? We have an inbox full of people asking us, can I have multiple types? So let's just preface this by saying you can have multiple types of PCOS, and they can be mild or extreme combinations. So you can have like really a lot of insulin resistance and a little bit of adrenal fatigue, It really just like depends on the degree. That's the thing with PCOS. Everyone has different symptoms. Everyone needs a different type of protocol because their symptoms vary in degree and vary completely. So
it's a spectrum, PCOS is a syndrome, which means it's a spectrum of symptoms. So
there's no one size fits all approach, and everything that we recommend isn't for everyone. So
and by the way, we try to get through that inbox every single day, but if you can only imagine how many we get daily, we try to get through all your messages. All right, so the first PCOS type that we're going to talk about is
inflammation. So with inflammation, the symptoms are more like if your weight is plateauing and never going down, fatigue, being really tired all the time.
Bloating.
But bloating is definitely one because it shows that what you're eating isn't being digested properly. Skin issues like cystic acne and sometimes even like, rashes can occur.
Joint pain,
Joint pain,
especially like when you're like something like almost like arthritic pain, that's like joint pain that can be a result of inflammation as well.
Even irritability after you eat, like just feeling like anxiety after what you ate.
Your stomach hurts, even getting that like foggy brain feeling after eating. And we'll get into some of the reasons that could impact that. But if you're wondering what is inflammation, like, because inflammation, it's like, you always hear it, but what is it actually? Is it literally mean there's a fire happening inside? Is there a flame? So basically, imagine there are basically two types of inflammation. There's acute and chronic. Acute is, imagine you hit your elbow against a wall or something and the area gets red, gets swollen. That's basically your body is sending the white blood cells to go ahead and protect the area, and that's why it gets red and swollen. And it's basically trying to protect the area. But there's also chronic inflammation. Chronic inflammation is when this is constantly happening in your body. For example, from eating inflammatory foods like gluten and other harmful substances, it can basically create a battleground for inflammation that's constantly happening, and that can lead your body to, have it's basically creating a lot of stress onto the body, and that's going to cause you to have the symptoms that we just talked about, the irritability, the anxiety, the weight plateau, fatigue, bloating, all of these things.
Yeah, exactly. And then when you have that chronic inflammation, your body releases these messengers like inflammatory cytokines. And these messengers signal your ovaries to secrete to produce more testosterone.
Yeah.
And so it has like a direct impact on PCOS women. And it also acts directly on our fat cells and causes more insulin resistance, which is the second PCOS type we're going to talk about. But just notice how like one PCOS type can lead to another PCOS type.
Yeah, and just to repeat that, it directly acts on the ovary to cause production of testosterone and directly acts on the fat cells to cause insulin resistance just from inflammation.
So think of like everything you do can either cause chronic inflammation or reduce it, right?
Yeah.
It's every single food that you're eating is going to have some type of impact on your inflammation. And everyone with PCOS has a level of inflammation.
Yeah. And this is where we get into gluten, because gluten can be one of the biggest food groups that impacts inflammation. And that's why we always talk about, trying gluten-free at least for 30 days to see if it helps improve. So how does gluten, cause or has an impact on inflammation? Well, one way it does is through the impact it has on zonulin. So your intestinal walls have these tight junctions so that when you eat food, as the food is going down your throat, it goes down into your digestive tract and basically gets broken down so that your body can use it for energy. There are tight junctions that protect your intestinal wall so that these foods and whatever's in it doesn't get into your bloodstream, your organs, your body. This is really important because this is your body's way of protecting itself. But what happens is when you eat gluten, it activates a protein called zonulin. And what zonulin does is it regulates those tight junctions. And when you eat gluten, it causes zonulin to start stretching out those tight junctions. So the tight junctions that
loosening them up.
Yeah, loosening them up. They get loosened up, and now those intestinal walls have little holes in them. Those holes allow gluten and other harmful substances, bacteria, proteins, and things like this to get through into your bloodstream. So now your body sees these things entering your bloodstream, and your body is like, whoop, 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 send the white blood cells. And now there's inflammation occurring right after you're eating, as you're eating. And that's why you can feel, bloated. You can feel fatigue, headaches after eating gluten.
Yeah. So if you have gluten sensitivity, your gut lining doesn't repair as quickly, and that happens to you. So you really want to know if you're sensitive to gluten, because first and foremost, PCOS, everyone has inflammation. Let's figure out what's causing it. So cutting out gluten for 30 days can really help you figure that out and help reduce the low-grade inflammation.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Also taking vitamin D.
Oh, yeah.
Did you know vitamin D is the most important nutrient for women with PCOS? Therapeutic doses can be anti-inflammatory.
Yeah.
It's crucial for T cells, which regulate our immune system and calm it down. So when you don't have enough vitamin D, it can really have an impact on your immune system and inflammation. So
Yeah.
keep
Yes.
that in mind.
So we highly recommend, you can definitely check with your doctor to see what your vitamin D levels are and if you need a, increased dosage. But we highly recommend, taking a vitamin D supplement when you have PCOS and you're trying to battle inflammation. It also has so many other benefits on fertility and things like that.
Right.
If you're looking for a vitamin D supplement, we really love one from Theralogics. They also make Ovasitol, but we'll link it in the bio. It's called TheraD. And if you use our PRC code 292660, like memorize it at this point, you get 15% off your order. So we'll put that in the description.
Awesome.
And also chronic low-grade, before we move on to our next type, chronic low-grade inflammation with PCOS also makes the cells eventually become insulin resistant. And women with PCOS are more prone to this because of the genetics and increased baseline inflammation.
It just snowballs out of control into the other PCOS types when you don't manage it.
Yeah.
And a lot of us just don't end up managing our PCOS because we're given birth control. We're not even told that we can manage it until you go on Instagram and come across us.
Yeah.
Totally understand. So now, now you can do something about this.
Exactly.
So with insulin resistance, your symptoms are more.
Oh, so that's the second.
This is the second type.
You gotta give a clear title.
All right. All right.
Now
all right.
let's move on to the second type.
Insulin resistance. It manifests as uncontrollable weight gain, like everything you eat sticks to you and doesn't metabolize properly. And uncontrollable cravings. I mean, this is the most significant symptom. So many of us have this. And also, anxiety, irritability after you eat because your blood sugar is on a roller coaster. After you eat, it's going to be high and then it's going to drop and then you're going to be hungry and crave again, have anxiety and feel irritable. So that's how insulin resistance can affect that. And also cystic acne because insulin triggers more testosterone and then the testosterone gathers around that oil gland and causes it to produce more oil. And then that inflammation that we have causes that oil gland to get inflamed as well. And then we end up having cystic acne and hirsutism because of the high testosterone. So insulin resistance can really trigger like all of our PCOS symptoms. Like 80% of us have it. It's something to really consider. Now, I do want to talk about metabolic dysfunction because that's where insulin resistance comes in. And that's really the root issues with PCOS.
Before you do, I want to go. You can please explain that. I need to get the charger for the laptop.
I see him looking at the computer.
I don't understand. These MacBooks, they just run out of battery so quick. Like it was 70% when we came here and I set it up.
What?
And it's now at 18%. And I know but in like 10 minutes it's going to go red.
How did that happen?
I don't know. It's the MacBooks. I don't know.
Are you serious?
No, I'm joking.
We
babe.
should
I'm
take that to
serious.
the Apple store.
All right.
Okay.
You explain. I'm going to get the charger.
Sorry, sisters. So when a sister is insulin resistant, the brain creates a new normal set point for our weight. It wants to hold on to fat stores. And for every pound that we lose, our metabolism slows down more in an attempt to regain any lost body mass. And the thyroid hormone also drops and our cell metabolism slows down. Our appetite increases, our fat is stored with more efficiency for every lost pound. And this is what happens when we're insulin resistant. Our bodies have this amazing way to survive difficult times when there isn't enough food. And insulin resistance is that mechanism of action. So basically, when we trigger that insulin resistance through our genetics, through our environment, a combination of it, then this occurs. Our body just like holds on to everything. And so as a result, when we go on diets that are super restrictive and like stressful on our bodies, we end up losing weight only temporarily and end up regaining the weight even more because we're ultimately damaging our metabolism. And so this is true for all people in general, but especially for women with PCOS because we're so genetically predisposed to insulin resistance. Our body is just like protecting itself by holding on to every gram of food that we eat.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
with that being said, it's not that you can't do anything about it. It's just that you have to be mindful of it while you're going about your day, like making sure that you're not snacking, several times throughout the day, because that's going to spike your blood sugar several times throughout the day and spike your insulin several times. The more insulin we spike, the more insulin resistant we are. So just eating your 3 meals and maybe 1 or 2 snacks that are high in protein and healthy fats,
And also making sure, like when you're eating, how much it impacts your blood sugar levels, right?
Yeah, making sure you're not eating super high carb meals and making sure that you're pairing the carb that you are eating with a protein, with fiber, with fat, and things like that. So,
like I'm making a gesture to tell you, when it spikes up and it needs to come down. I just wanted you to explain that because I think that's so like an important factor.
Yeah. When you did that, I thought you meant my voice was too flat.
No.
So that's why I was like fiber. And that's what I was
That's
thinking.
so funny.
Okay. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. So when you eat something really high in carbs, your blood sugar goes up, your insulin is produced, a bunch of insulin, so you can store that sugar in your bloodstream. And, eventually after that happens so many times, your body gets tired, your cells get tired and start being numb to insulin. So eating a really high carb diet or a high sugar diet for a long period of time can make this happen. And also working out a lot, like hours and hours of cardio can make your body dump sugar into your bloodstream so you can burn it during that workout. And then because you're insulin resistant, you're not able to. It gets very complicated. Everything we do or everything that we think is helping us could be not helping us. So we have to do things for insulin resistance, not just what Google says for weight loss.
Yeah. And talking about supplements or talking about ways to help supplements, inositol is one of the most like research supplements there are for PCOS, like
especially
basically
insulin resistance.
Yeah, I'm very glad they're actually like testing supplements and studies and things like that.
For
but
PCOS,
yeah, for PCOS, I'm glad they're actually using inositol. And inositol, for those that don't know, is a supplement that can help with insulin resistance and PCOS. And yeah, we'd highly recommend if you're looking for a supplement for your insulin resistance to try out an inositol supplement.
Because there's only so much like diet and lifestyle you can do. You need some support at the same time with supplements. Like you could be, but nobody's perfect. Like you could have the intention of tomorrow, eating these well-balanced meals, gluten and dairy free, like not going to spike your insulin levels. But of course, life happens and like stress happens and that affects your blood sugar. And, you might not get in your slow weighted workout and that affects your blood sugar. You might not get good sleep the night before. That affects your blood sugar. So you need a supplement to support you on this journey. And of course, combining the supplement with the diet and lifestyle changes, not just depending on the supplement, is important.
Absolutely. And if you're looking for the inositol supplement, well, as sisters, Ovasitol is a sponsor of the podcast, but we also love them. It's Talian's favorite supplement for PCOS, but she started taking it many years ago before this podcast started. And for a reason, it has a 40-to-1 ratio of myo and D-chiroinositol. So there are 2 inositols that are important, myo and D-chiroinositol. The latest research is using both. It used to be that in the early studies, they were only doing it on myo-inositol, but the latest research is showing that the combination of 40-to-1 myo and D-chiroinositol can be very effective, and that's because that's the ratio found in the body. When that ratio gets off whack, that's when insulin resistance can occur and can worsen over time. So Ovasitol, it has that ratio, and it's really helpful to help you get back and help to get down to the root issues of the insulin resistance, which can also then help with egg quality, period regularity, ovulation, hair loss, and facial hair, because it's helping to improve the testosterone production or reduce it, as well as other symptoms. So, and it comes in a 3-month supply, and that's the important thing here is it's not like a 1 week or 1 month kind of a supplement
Yeah.
thing. It's something you're going to take for 3 to 6 months, possibly longer. Taline probably took it for about a year.
I still have it.
And yeah, you
if
take-
I eat like a high carb meal.
Yeah, but I mean, like you took
Or-
it for like a year consistently every day,
Yeah,
and then after
yeah.
that, you kind of like now you have
It's
like
so
a
good for
bag.
you for so many reasons, like
Yeah.
other than insulin resistance. Now I have the bag in the bathroom
Whenever
and I
you
just like
need it.
grab it when I
Exactly. Like whenever you need it, you grab it, and then you like
Yeah.
you can like supplement when you need it. So it's a great supplement. So we highly recommend Ovasitol if you're looking for a inositol supplement. We also have the same 15% off code, so we'll put it in the description. You know, if you use PRC code 292660, you get 15% off.
Another thing that was very helpful for my insulin resistance was definitely doing slow weighted workouts.
Oh yeah, let's talk about exercise.
Yeah, because when I stopped, I was getting hangry attacks. And I stopped during wedding planning because I was just overwhelmed and like couldn't get myself to do it. So I was like going on walks and stuff, but still like losing muscle mass. And I felt my insulin resistance come back. It has a direct impact on minimizing inflammation and insulin resistance for women with PCOS. So prioritizing exercise.
Yeah.
So important.
And studies have found that just 75 minutes of exercise weekly can significantly improve metabolic health for women with PCOS. So 75 minutes that a week, so not per exercise. So that
Just-
75 minutes is an hour and 15. If you divide that into
20 minutes.
three exercise, that's just like 20 to 30 minutes each
30,
exercise.
yeah.
So that'd be great. So you can start with 75 minutes weekly as a baseline. And not to mention, exercise can also improve more than inflammation and insulin resistance. It can also help with, self-confidence. It can help with mood issues. It's something that especially
posture, the way you
posture,
hold
yeah.
yourself, and then your posture affects your confidence too. Like it just has this trickle effect on everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And, especially when you do lightweight training. So lightweight training has actually been shown to help improve metabolism because when you have more lean muscle, your body requires more energy even when you're sitting down and not working out. That's just like the way muscles work. Even when you're not doing anything, it's requiring energy, unlike how fat just stays there and it's just therefore as like an energy depot. So when you have more lean muscle, it can help with making your metabolism higher permanently, as long as you keep the lean muscle. And second, it's been also shown to improve insulin sensitivity and helping with insulin resistance. So if you can find a dedicated personal trainer who understands PCOS and can incorporate these lightweight training that are done at a low intensity pace, that would be great. You can also find our workouts in the sisterhood. We're currently developing new workout programs all the time that you can do in the sisterhood. For example, there's a 7-day beginner jumpstart. There's a leg and glute program. Tanya likes to call it a leg and booty program. And then we're full body. We're developing basically a bunch of them that you can do at any time. So you can find them at the sisterhood at PCOSweightloss.org.
Right.
All right.
So
the next type,
and I'm going to make a clean transition into adrenal fatigue by saying, if you don't feel like working out and you feel like taking a nap, take the nap. Because sometimes when you have adrenal fatigue, you are so tired and we're told, oh, you just need to work out harder and do this, that to lose weight. And it's so not true if you have adrenal fatigue. Symptoms of adrenal fatigue are weight gain in the midsection because high stress hormones make you gain weight in the midsection. And of course, fatigue, feeling tired all the time. Also having salt cravings, and having insulin resistance. They go hand in hand sometimes. Not all the time, but sometimes. Most of the time, actually. And also insomnia, like not being able to sleep and get quality sleep, the 8 hours without waking up type of sleep, anxiety, irritability, they all go into adrenal fatigue.
Yeah.
This is basically when a sister has experienced so much stress, whether physical or emotional or inflammatory, and we end up secreting so much cortisol, stress hormone, over time that our adrenal glands, these glands on top of our kidneys, can no longer keep up with the body's demand for cortisol. And cortisol, and this is good for PCOS because cortisol is a precursor for progesterone, a hormone necessary for ovulation, So producing this hormone is basically compromised. And it's necessary for ovulation and fertility. But when you're overproducing cortisol and then you're not producing enough cortisol anymore because of adrenal fatigue, now you can't produce the sex hormones necessary for ovulation.
Yeah.
So let's all take a deep breath and meditate for the next 10 minutes because that's basically how you treat adrenal fatigue. You take some time. It takes a few months, actually.
Focusing on sleep, relaxation, getting that 8 hours of sleep, even though it sounds like impossible to do. It sounded impossible to do for me at many times in my life, but it can be so crucial just to help your body recover and feel better the next day.
Yeah. Even taking melatonin, women with PCOS, we have this issue with melatonin. We often struggle with our melatonin receptors, the receptor sites on our ovaries, and it's an antioxidant as well. It's really great for PCOS. So it's important to have enough melatonin. Definitely consider taking a supplement if you need melatonin and if you're getting poor sleep.
Yeah. And is there any other
things about adrenal fatigue? Well, absolutely do not cut your carbs completely. This is so stressful on the body. Like with PCOS, we're told oftentimes to cut carbs and calories and things like this. And when you have a lot of adrenal fatigue, it just makes it worse and makes your body hold on to what you're eating even more. It's like the fight or flight mode. So this is tricky. Sometimes you can have insulin resistance and adrenal fatigue together. So do you cut your carbs out? Well, no, you slowly lower it to find a range that is keeping you happy and satisfied after your meal, but you treat your insulin resistance in different ways instead of cutting your carbs completely. Maybe if you have the energy, you can do your slow weighted workouts, or you can take the Ovasitol supplement, or, make sure you're eating enough protein and healthy fats and fiber. Things like this can help with the combination of insulin resistance and adrenal fatigue instead of being so drastic and cutting all your carbs out.
Absolutely. And I forgot to mention for supplements for adrenal fatigue, another great option is CBD. CBD has been really shown to help with sleep, anxiety. It's been shown to help with depression. It's been shown to actually help with inflammation as well. We forgot to mention it before too, but it can also help with inflammation. It can help with acne. So many of these insulin resistance, correct?
Yeah.
So CBD can be really helpful and is an awesome supplement too.
Yeah, it helps regulate your cortisol, and having high cortisol causes insulin resistance because after a stressful event, and even maybe you had a stressful day at work or something like that, it doesn't have to be an event, the elevation in cortisol causes insulin resistance to develop after 4 to 6 hours. And it persists for more than 16 hours.
Wow.
So imagine, if you are not,
impact.
If you're constantly stressed, look at the impact it's having on your insulin resistance for the next day. Even when you think, I'm fine, that was yesterday, I forgot all about it. Your body might be still stressed out.
Yeah, of course.
By the way, Sirak just drank a glass of water and put the glass extremely close to the edge of the table. And if you follow us on Instagram stories, you will know.
You like that?
Now it's halfway off the table.
You like that?
Can you?
Because I live on the edge. I live on the edge.
I can't.
What if I just smack this table?
Stop it. Stop.
Talia's really getting thing right now. She's getting anxious. She needs CBD. But speaking of CBD, as most of you know, we love CBD from PureSpectrumCBD.com. That's PureSpectrumCBD.com. They honestly make great CBD because it contains the full spectrum. Not sure if you know this, but there's a lot of CBD companies out there. Maybe it's the random ones that you might see at a grocery store that you've never heard of. What they do is they filter out a lot of the helpful cannabinoids and terpenes. And these are the really important aspects of CBD. So they filter out a lot of them and you don't get the full benefits. So Pure Spectrum CBD, we really like their products. If you go to their website, PureSpectrumCBD.com, and use the sisterhood as a code word, you can get 10% off. And just to kind of go off of these supplements and the ones that we like, as you can see, whenever we have sponsors with a podcast, these are supplements that we truly believe in, and that
for PCOS.
For PCOS, right. We never pick these random because we kind of at this moment we're getting close to 1 million downloads, and we've been contacted by a lot of like companies to be like, oh, can you promote
Yeah.
this mattress? Can you promote?
Constantly
And we're like,
deleting these emails.
it's just like we're thankful for the opportunity, but it's just we want to only promote things on this podcast that are actually helpful with PCOS symptoms, specifically with PCOS types. Like Ovasitol is our favorite supplement because it really helps with the biggest issue with PCOS, which is insulin resistance. CBD helps with inflammation, basically any supplement. So we just want to point that out to that, a lot of these are well thought out, and that it's only
Used by
things
me,
used
and we've
by
been
Tommy.
talking about it
Yeah.
for years because
Yeah, like I can't take Ovasitol,
Yeah.
but I do take pure spectrum CBD every single night, and I forcefully feed it to Tallinn every
I
single night.
accidentally spiked his drink with Ovasitol several times on several occasions, but that's
Yeah.
fine. He's been fine.
Yeah. So let's get on to the fourth and final type.
Hypothyroid.
Yeah, hypothyroid.
Well, women with PCOS were more at risk for negative thyroid effects because of PCOS, our
Yeah.
genetic predisposition. As you can see, I have now realized that I have a little bit of a hypothyroid situation happening here. And symptoms are irregular ovulation, hair loss, especially hair loss, especially if you have intense hypothyroid, insulin resistance, and overall slow metabolism and weight gain. It's just magnified when you have thyroid conditions. And PCOS and thyroid conditions, it works like hand in hand, a vicious cycle. All the symptoms of PCOS are pretty much the same as the symptoms of hypothyroid. So you could be doing everything you can do for PCOS, but you have a really hypothyroid and you don't know it, right? So you have to have lab work done to figure this out, because with hypothyroid, you might need medication, you might need supplementation. This is a different beast. You of course, diet and lifestyle change can take you to a certain level, but you might need supplements or some medication or something to help with this. So
Yeah, and you want your thyroid to be carefully investigated using functional ranges and not
Specific.
conventional, because functional ranges are more specific, and we actually are going to include them in the podcast description. So if you look at the podcast description, you'll see the functional ranges of your thyroid.
yeah. And, I want to mention some of the reasons why thyroid hormone is so important. It cleans up, thyroid hormone, it should increase the levels of sex hormone binding globulin, which basically cleans up the androgens, right,
Yeah,
in
like
your body,
testosterone.
like a sponge, just cleaning up the excess androgens. But when you have low levels of thyroid, then you have low levels of sex hormone binding globulin, and then that can lead to hyperandrogenism and this hair loss, acne, hirsutism issue that comes with thyroid issues. So it's not just if you have insulin resistance, you get these symptoms of, high testosterone. It could be your thyroid hormone being low and your sex hormone binding globulin being low and not able to clean up the androgens in your bloodstream. So that's really interesting. So with that being said, gluten plays a major role in our thyroid function.
Gluten.
A lot of doctors, not a lot, but some, and the only ones that I refer my patients to, they suggest going gluten-free and dairy-free when you have a thyroid issue. So I just want to touch on gluten for a second.
Yeah, please.
It contains a protein called gliadin. Okay, this is found in gluten that your body can easily mistake for a thyroid molecule in a process known as molecular mimicry. So if your gut is irritated and inflamed because of gluten sensitivity, like Sirak mentioned, the zonulin, then the gliadin protein is able to enter right into your bloodstream, and your immune system mistakenly identifies the gliadin as an intruder and attacks it by producing antibodies to gliadin. Okay, so once these antibodies are formed, they can also attack your thyroid gland, because remember, like I said, gliadin is similar to the thyroid molecule through something called molecular mimicry. So when your body's attacking the gliadin as an intruder, it's also attacking your thyroid. So your body's response every time you eat gluten is to make antibodies to gliadin, and the antibodies attack your thyroid. And so this affects, like if you have Hashimoto's thyroiditis, which is an autoimmune condition, or if you have hypothyroidism, you're basically like every time you eat gluten, you're attacking your thyroid more and more, and you're driving this issue into the ground. So you want to know if you have a thyroid issue for sure. And that's why oftentimes going gluten-free with PCOS can be helpful, because if you have a thyroid condition, it can significantly improve your body's ability to produce ample thyroid hormones.
Yes.
So I'm really glad I've been gluten and dairy free this whole time, because my God, like if I have a little bit of hypothyroid, who knows what it would have been.
Your
by
lab
now.
results might have been even
Worse.
worse. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't like that bad, thankfully.
It wasn't that bad.
But if it could have been, on the opposite range.
Yeah.
And so.
Well, here we
great.
are.
And so that covers the 4 main PCOS types, the symptoms, how to find the right supplements for them, and how to what was the supplement that you're using for your thyroid right now? For the
This is a daily thyroid support supplement from Equilife.
Yeah.
That's the company I got it from.
Yeah. And just a FYI, you should get your
Lab work done.
And if you want to know the ranges, we're going to include them in the description. And then once you know your lab work, you can find the right supplement for you. But that's the one that Tanya is using.
Once you do the lab work, they'll call you with your results and tell you what they are. So
right,
you don't even need the description lab thing. But if you already have labs done, then you can look at the description, compare, see what's going on.
Yeah.
So we did a poll.
We did do a poll. We asked, what's your main PCOS type? And again, we have a quiz that you can take. We'll include that in the description as well. It's basically a short quiz, takes about a minute, where you just answer some basic questions, and then the quiz can tell you what PCOS type you might have. Of course, it's not a diagnosis, but it can help you find the next steps, because it gives you some, some tips you can work on. So what's your main PCOS type? Well, what do we think the majority of everyone said? So, sisters, why don't you take a guess? Is it inflammation, insulin resistance, adrenal fatigue, hyperthyroid?
Insulin resistance.
Yeah.
1,560 sisters voted that they have insulin resistance as their main PCOS type.
Yeah. Second was inflammation.
445.
And a close third was
adrenal fatigue, 398.
Followed by hypothyroid.com.
Hypothyroid at 191.
Yeah.
Well, 33% of sisters have hypothyroid, so that makes sense. And then 80% have insulin resistance, so that makes sense. That's like majority. And then all of us have inflammation.
Yeah.
So why is it important to know your PCOS type? It's just so important to know your PCOS types, whichever one, because it gives you a jump off point to start managing your symptoms. It's step 1 in our membership site, the Sisterhood. It's step 1, discover your PCOS type. Start making the lifestyle changes that make you feel good, and even before you go into gluten and dairy free, like focusing on not looking at your phone before you go to sleep, so your melatonin is high enough so you can get better sleep for your adrenal fatigue
Well, because we know that PCOS can be so overwhelming when you're initially diagnosed, especially when the doctor doesn't really give you any step-by-step plan. So that's why finding your PCOS type can be so important, just to have, like Tanya said, a jump start, so you know what to work on, so it's not so overwhelming, because there could be 1,000 things in your head, but what if you just pinpoint it to just one? So insulin resistance, for example.
Someone once messaged us and was like, I love how the first step in the sisterhood is all of the things that I can do instead of all of the things that I shouldn't do. And I was like, wow, that's a good point.
We didn't even try to do that. But
I didn't even try that. I generally like to keep things positive.
Yeah, of course.
So, there's so many things that you can do. Forget what you can't do. Okay, you can't go on a long run. Okay, so you can meditate or go on a walk.
So, sisters, you can take the quiz in the description to get a start today. But you can always join the Sisterhood to basically help find your PCOS type, help find the next steps, and help find ways to reverse those symptoms associated with those PCOS types. Not to mention, much further, we also have, we help you go gluten dairy free. We help you learn your carb tolerance, help you learn to work out. So there's a whole plethora of help there if you like to join.
Yes. All right, so let's talk about the wins of the week.
Yes.
So the first one, hit it.
Oh, okay. The first one is Carrington from the Sisterhood. She says, Victory moment. A little backstory. I am a travel nurse and on an assignment in Texas. Since coming here in April, I decided to see how I would adapt to the gluten and dairy-free lifestyle. I began meal prepping and making conscious decisions with a few cheat meals here and there. Today I was getting ready for an outing and tried on a romper I haven't worn since I left Florida in March. What's a romper? I just don't know.
It's like that outfit I have where it's like shorts and the top combined.
Oh, okay, cool. Like a one piece?
Yeah, one piece.
Okay, cool. Needless to say, it fit loose.
Okay.
I do not have a scale here in Texas, nor have I been measuring myself. I have been discouraged so many times from what the scale and the measurements say, therefore forcing me to notice the changes in my body by looking at my body and seeing and feeling a real difference. That's so great. Mm-hmm. I am still on birth control, but quit my metformin and have stuck to taking my Ovasitol 2 times a day, as well as doing slow weighted workouts, hot yoga, and hot Pilates.
Ooh,
wow.
I love it.
I am so happy I have found the sisterhood and can share these changes and have a safe space to encourage and motivate each other. Wow.
What a nice story.
Such a sweet message. And
I love this.
there's so many things that she said that I really like.
Yeah.
She was discouraged by checking the scale. So instead of that, she just, see how she felt, how things were feeling on her, and seeing these like changes to her happening to her, especially when you're traveling, when you're a travel nurse, there's so much stress.
Yeah.
So happy it's working.
I'm so happy for her.
Yeah.
Oh,
great job,
so
Carrington.
good to hear.
And thank you for sharing your story. This is like so inspirational for so many other sisters right now.
Yeah, truly. So our next win is from the DMs. And I don't have her exact username.
Well, yeah, it's because it's a screenshot of the DM from Instagram, but I'm going to try to describe the picture I see in the DM.
It's a mirror selfie.
Yeah, it's a sister taking a picture in the mirror. There seems to be some sort of light on the bottom of the picture.
Okay.
And some sort of blue bar on the right side. So,
Okay.
sister, if you know who you are,
Okay.
this is your comment we're reading, or your DM we're
She
reading.
says, Hello, Talene. I am sitting here in my car listening to your podcast and eating my gluten-free meal, and I wanted to share some exciting news. After struggling with PCOS and feeling so hopeless and depressed, I was finally able to find the energy and courage to go gluten and dairy-free. It's been tough, but after 3 weeks, I finally got my period.
Yes.
I have not had it in months. I've also lost 5 pounds and feel so much better. I am not as tired and not as depressed. I have the energy and drive to keep going. I've recently joined the gym as well. Thank you so much for all your information. I'm also hoping to get pregnant this year, so I'll really hope all of this information helps us get there. Once again, thank you. Much blessings. Oh my God, I'm so happy for you.
So sweet.
Of course you'll get there.
Yeah.
You just stick to it and keep layering on new things that might help promote your health and treat your PCOS types. Of course, it doesn't just stop at gluten and dairy free. There are other things you can do.
Yeah.
And we're always here to encourage you and cheer you on the podcast, on Instagram stories, in the sisterhood, Facebook chat forum. We're here for you, sisters.
Absolutely. I love how she said, I'm sitting here in my car listening to your podcast. Well, I hope
I
the
hope
next
you're-
time
yeah.
you're reading this comment and you're like, oh my God, I'm on the podcast.
Yeah.
It's so great. So great. Thank you, sister, for your DM. And I guess that's the episode.
That's a wrap.
But this was really fun. Stay tuned for Talene's journey as she
Yes.
goes through, taking these supplements to help improve, the thyroid results from the lab kit. We'll see how that goes. We'll do the lab kit test again, maybe in like 6 months or 3 months, and see what's up, see what's going on. Take you guys through our journey.
How's my
Talene's journey
thyroid?
now.
Our. It's our. I drag you with me.
No. I'm here for support. But yeah, it'll be very fun. And yeah, thank you for listening to this episode, sisters. We'll put everything in the description as we explain. We'll put everything organized there so you know what supplements we recommended for which PCOS types and things like that. So you can definitely head over there to see more. And yeah,
We'll talk to you soon, sisters.
thank you for listening. See you next week.
Bye. If you enjoyed listening to this podcast, you have to come check out the Sisterhood. It's my monthly membership site where sisters just like you are learning how to move through the stages of PCOS. From stage 1, cold and alone at the doctor's office, to stage 5, nailing the PCOS lifestyle, gluten and dairy free. Get ready to finally feel in control of your body again.